Hello everyone, welcome to Skill Wisdom videos. Please subscribe to our channel and press on bell icon to get a notification on new videos. You can also use comment section to post your queries. We will try to address them with the priorities. You can also follow our Facebook page and join our Telegram group for technology related discussion and updates. So these links you can find it on video description section. So let's understand what is this automation. So if you are working on any application currently or any organization, so what happens is you may need to change some functionality on your application, right? So whenever you make any changes to your application, so as a tester, you need to make sure the previous functionality, which is not changed, is working fine. Along with that, whatever you newly changed is also working fine, right? This process is called testing. Testing is a process of assuring your application is working as per your requirement, right? So to do that, as a old tradition, we are using a human resources who will read the requirement and do or test on your application to assure that application is working as expected. Now, so what we are trying to do is we are automating that process. That means we are trying to reduce the human effort or human interaction in order to assure whether application is working as per our requirement or not. So automation is a process of reducing a human dependency in application quality assurance process. Quality assurance means it's a testing. Okay. Now you may have a question why we need this automation. Okay. So let's take before go on the point wise why it needs. Let's take an example. You are working in an organization where you are testing some application. So tomorrow, because of various reasons, you might be moving out of that organization or out of that team. Now what happens for your position? Organization will get a new member. So before you move, so what you need to do, you need to transfer all your knowledge to that new resource. So based on that knowledge, he or she will test the application, right? So now first thing is, if you have not transferred the knowledge very effectively or completely, if you are not transition, then what happens, the newcomer may or may not be able to test application effectively like you, right? Second point, assume that you are having some 1,000 test cases on your application, each test case taking 5 minutes. So 1,000 into 5, 5,000 minutes, right? So now, as a human, you may have some dedicated hours to work on a daily basis, right? Like 8 or 9, 9.5, depending on your organization timings. So you will be testing only during that time. You cannot spend extra time. If you're spending extra time, then organization may need to pay you additional amount, right? Third one, as a human, you can how many test cases you can execute parallelly? One, two, maximum three if you're too intelligent, right? Now, if you automate it using a tool means it's like a system. So what system can do? So what you are basically doing? So you are converting your knowledge to a code now. Now what happens tomorrow if you move out of organization? Then your knowledge is still there as a code, right? If somebody runs that code, it will test in the same way how you are testing it. Okay. Second thing, if you convert your all knowledge into a code, then what happens? System can run 24 into 7. There's no restriction on the system that how much time you need to invest, right? Like a human can invest only 9 hours per day, but system can invest 24 hours, right? So these are all some of the benefits of moving towards automation. Let's see this in one by one. One is reduce cycle time or increase the efficiency. Human, so as I given example, you can test only 8 or 9 hours a daily basis, but system can test 24 hours. So in that case, what happens? You can complete your 1,000 cases in a shorter time of a period compared to testing it by human. So one system can do 3 or 4% work, even more, right? Next, effectiveness or consistency. So you are there in an organization or you are there in a team or you moved out, the consistency of testing will remain same because you have converted your knowledge into a code. and you can reduce a lot of human errors, right? Third one, cost effective. So 1,000 test cases, if you want to execute on 2 days or 3 days, then you may need to hire 10 or 20 resources for it. Instead of that, you can convert it to a code, and you can take 20 systems and you can just run that code onto 20 machines, because investing on a machine is a static amount. Once you invest, you can keep on reusing it with a minimal maintenance, but resources are not like that. You need to keep on giving a monthly salary for them, right? That's why automation is a cost effective. I agree that you need to spend some amount to automate it, but once you automate it, it's a very minimal for the maintenance. Next, increased test coverage. Why increased test coverage? If you human, if you have only 3 days to test, then how much you can test maximum? You can test 200 or 300 test cases, depends on a time, right? But if it is a system, in a shorter time, you can test more test cases. That's why coverage is increased. Now, so automation, coming to automation tool, there are a lot of tools in a market. Okay, like UFT, you might have heard, then you might have heard Protractor, you might have Sahi Pro. A lot of tools are there. Selenium is one of them. Actually, Selenium is not a tool, it's a jar file which is developed using many languages like Java, Python, and all. So we are just using it and for the testing purpose. Okay, so let's see this Selenium. As a Selenium, we call it as a suite file, one suite file, which is consist of many components of a Selenium from 0th version to today's version. Let's see them one by one. What is the advantage and what is the disadvantage? How to use those components. So the main package, complete package, we call it as a Selenium tool. So first version of a Selenium, we call it as a Selenium IDE, where IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Okay, that is the first version, and this version supports only on Firefox, and this is kind of a record and play things. This is the initial version, just record and play. So you need to record all your steps what you're doing manually, and next time onwards just you run it and it will repeat the same test again and again. Second version, that is called improved version, Selenium RC, started supporting multiple browsers and multiple programming languages, where RC stands for remote control. So now there are some disadvantage on this Selenium RC. To improvise that, they introduce a new version that is called WebDriver, and the last version is Selenium Grid. This is independent of a WebDriver. Selenium Grid is used to do a parallel testing. So we'll see that later videos. So WebDriver is also called as a Selenium 2.0, which is a combination of RC and some improvised features. So the current version is 3 when we are making this video, and the 4.0 is about to release now. Okay. So Selenium 2.0 is a combination of RC, and some of the disadvantages what are there in RC has removed, and it has created with a newer version that is called WebDriver. So going forward, so all the Selenium version comes under here: Selenium 2, Selenium 3, Selenium 4, Selenium 5, until and unless we introduce some more new features and make it as a other version. So let's look at first version, that is the IDE, how it looks and all. So let's download this IDE. So you can open your Firefox driver, because IDE supports only on a Firefox. Go to this URL. Once you go to this URL, this is the base IDE downloading location. So you can see here, add to Firefox, right? Click on it, then it will start downloading the IDE. I just clicked, so you can see here it started downloading. It will take some time, depends on your internet speed. So once it completes the download, you click on add button here, and the add-on will be added to your Firefox browser. You can see here, right? So now add-on is added to your Firefox. Let's click on this icon to open Selenium IDE. Selenium IDE is opened here. You can see the different option. close Selenium IDE, create new project, open existing project, record new test case in new project. Let's say if you want to create a new project, click on new project, give some name for your project, click on OK. Now project is opened. So if you want to create a new test, just start recording your action by clicking on record button. So now it will ask you base application URL. So I wanted to record google.com. Click on start record. You can see new browser is opened with Google. Now you can start executing the step based on your test cases. So I just typed test, then clicked on a link here. Then I'll just close the browser. Now I'll stop the recording. So it will ask me test case name. Just give any test case name. Click on OK. You can see here test case 1 is created. Now let's save this. So it will ask you to where you want to store this. Let's say under download, I will use project and save. Now test case 1 is created. So if you want to run this, you can just select it, then click on this run. It will open a browser and it will repeat all those steps, whatever you have previously executed. You can see TC1 is completed successfully. So these are all the steps where it is captured. You can see here window size we have set, and then click type, send keys, what you sent, test. Then I pressed enter key. So many things, whatever you are doing, so it will just capture those things here. So if you want to close this one, just click on cross mark here. Your ID will be closed. Let's look at Selenium RC. Let's consider this is your editor where you are writing your code using one of the high level programming language like Java, .NET, Python, anything. Okay. So this is your Selenium RC and you have a browser. So Selenium RC act as a middleman between your Selenium commands and your browser. So when you write your code using any high level programming language, so what happens is when you start your execution, the Selenium RC injects JavaScript. It injects JavaScript called Selenium core into your browser. So once your Selenium core is injected into your browser, now this browser will start receiving the commands through your Selenium server, whatever you are running this code, right? So this Selenium core will start receiving those commands through Selenium server, and if it requires, it will execute some of the code with the help of backend that is called web server. So once it executes the code and it will get a response from your backend, then that response it will send it back to Selenium RC server, and from where again it will go back to the user interface that where you have written a code. So the disadvantage of this approach is this is little slow with respect to execution time because your code has to pass through lot of layers here. It has to come to Selenium RC server, then it has to go to the browser, right? So this is a time consumption. That's why Selenium RC has not become that much famous. To overcome from this, they introduced WebDriver. So WebDriver is a combination of Selenium RC and some additional features. Let's see what is this WebDriver. WebDriver is a web automation framework that allows to execute your test against different browser. Like even RC will support different browsers and different platforms and different languages, but IDE supports only Firefox, right? So WebDriver supports different browser. Let's see how the architecture of WebDriver looks like. So we have seen this RC web, server architecture, right? So here, this is a mid layer, which is the additional things between your code and browser, right? So this part is eliminated in WebDriver. So now in a WebDriver, it is a direct communication between your code and server using the browser related server files. Clear? What is Selenium RC and why WebDriver is introduced? Okay, let's move to the prerequisites part. Before starting Selenium, so we need to have JDK installed in your system, and you should have Eclipse, then you should have Selenium related files. If you don't have JDK and Eclipse, please go through our previous video where I have given a detailed step-by-step guidance how to install JDK and how to install Eclipse and how to make a basic settings and all. Okay, so now let's focus on Selenium files. How we can download the Selenium files and what all the files are required, why we need and all. Let's discuss those parts. Open any browser and you can navigate to seleniumhq.org site. So once you navigate to this site, right, if you click on this documentation, you will find all the documents related to Selenium, right? So you have different tabs here, Java, Python, C hash. So you can click on the related tabs to get more details on it. You can see here how to implement grid, remote WebDriver, all those things, all documents you can find it here. In order to download any files related to Selenium, you can click on download session. So we need to download two files here. One is Selenium server, other one is a browser related files. You can see first session here, Selenium grid, right? So this is the latest stable version and this is the upcoming version. Okay, so if you want to download latest Selenium files, then just click on this link. Once you click on this link, the download will start. You can see here it is downloading Selenium standard. So if you get this one, just click on keep so that it will complete the downloading. And next one, you can see this is the driver file related to IE Explorer. So if you are using Internet Explorer for either execution or automating your any web applications, then you need to download the Internet Explorer driver server. So it depends on your system. Click on the bit file. So we have two files here, 32 and 64. Depends on your system. You can click on any one of those. So I am using a 64-bit system. So I'm just clicking on 64-bit system here. So see here, it is downloaded and opened, right? Okay, I'll close this. If you scroll down it, you can find the browser session here, right? So just click on plus mark, it will expand it. Here, you will find the files related to other browser, Chrome, Opera, Safari and all. So if you are using Chrome for any of your testing, then click on documentation for this. So it will take you to the detailed page. So if you click on downloads here, you will get all the Chrome driver related things. So now you may have a question like which one you need to click here, right? So this driver file you need to download with respect to the version what is installed in your system. So let's say this is my Chrome. So if you click on this three dots and if you go to help, select about Google Chrome, right? Here you will find the version of your Chrome driver. So right now I am using 81 version of a Chrome. So now I need to download the driver file which is supporting for 81 version. You can see here this supports 83. So I cannot use this one. Just scroll down and find which one will support 81. So you can see here these three supports for 81. So you can download any one of these three. Just click on it. It will go to the next page where you need to click on the driver file related to your requirement. If you are using Linux, Mac, Windows. So here we have only 32 because 32-bit because the Chrome driver don't have any difference between 32-bit and 64-bit. By default, Chrome driver installed is on every system is a 32-bit. So just click on it. So it will download Chrome file. Locate all downloaded files and you can find here zip files, right? Just open these files. You can find actual exe file share. Copy these files and keep all these files in a single folder for easy access. Okay. So let's open Eclipse, then create a Java project. So here you can select what version of JDK you want it to be supported for your project. Click on finish. If somebody don't know how to create packages or how to create classes, how to create project in Eclipse, or if somebody don't have Eclipse, then please follow our previous video where we have given a detailed step about how to create project, how to create packages, how to create classes, and even we have also given how to download Eclipse and JDK. So once Java project is created, in order to make this to support Selenium, you need to add a downloaded jar file to this project. In order to add that, right click on your project, go to build path, then click on configure build path. So once you click on this, if library is not selected already, click on this tab, then click on add external jar. Navigate to the location where you have Selenium standalone jar file which you have downloaded previously. Select the file, click on open button, then click on OK. So now Selenium is added here. Let's create a package. Then create a class. Once you create a class, here create an object of Chrome driver. So learning Selenium means learning the available classes in your Selenium jar files and how to use what all the different functions are available in each class and how to use them. Right. So in order to open a Chrome driver, you need to create object of a Chrome driver class, then run this. You can see error here. Executable path for Chrome driver is not found. This is because you have downloaded one browser related file, right? This program is not able to find where is that jar file, sorry, exe file. So to add that, use system.set property. You have a key and value pair. Value will be path of that file and key will be this one, webdriver.chrome.driver, right? This one. Let's run the program. You can see here Chrome driver was initiated successfully. The Chrome driver is opened here, right? I'll close this manually. You can see here Chrome driver was started successfully. Thank you all.